Hello, and welcome to the Juvenile Justice Data Mini Webinar. My name is Erin Yarborough Christian, and I am a non-traditional educational programs manager with the Division of Federal Programs and Oversight. On your screen, you'll see the department's Best for All strategic plan. The agenda for today consists of withdrawal codes 0, 2, and 11. We're going to talk about juvenile detention centers and several areas included in that section. Court-ordered day treatment, suggestions to improve data quality, and then I will share some contact information. First, we'll discuss withdrawal codes 0, 2, and 11. Withdrawal code 02 indicates withdrawn to DCS educational placement. This means that the student was withdrawn from the local education agency or LEA and placed in the custody of the Department of Children's Services, DCS, to be educated in a youth development center or DCS affiliated school. However, withdrawal code 11 is a court-ordered placement. This is where a student has been court-ordered to be placed with the Department of Corrections, a county jail, or a city jail. The student was tried and convicted as an adult in this situation. For additional information, see the EIS Data Dictionary, Appendix H, Withdrawal Codes. Next, we'll discuss juvenile detention centers, or JDCs. Under Tennessee Code Annotated 49-6-3023, LEAs must provide educational services to public school students in Tennessee incarcerated in JDCs licensed by the Department of Children's Services. There is a 72-hour notification requirement. SBE 05200112.031 states, once a student has been held in a center outside of their home LEA for 72 hours, the center shall notify in writing the home LEA, the receiving LEA, and the department, and provide the name of the student incarcerated, the location of incarceration, and the date the student was incarcerated. The JDC code is the notification to the department. Instructional day and record transfer. As of July 1, 2019, state law requires that instruction to students incarcerated in detention centers be a minimum of 4 hours per instructional day. Record transfer and instruction are encouraged to occur immediately and are subject to the following timelines. By the 5th instructional day, the receiving LEA will contact the sending LEA for records. By the 10th instructional day, the sending LEA will ensure that all records are sent to the receiving LEA. By the 15th instructional day, the receiving LEA will create an educational service plan or ESP with the sending LEA, and instruction will start by the 20th instructional day. Juvenile Justice Point of Contact. All LEAs must appoint a Juvenile Justice Point of Contact, or POC, to serve as the point of contact when a student is incarcerated, communicate with JDCs and Juvenile Justice Point of Contacts in other LEAs, expedite the transfer of records, and collaborate with POCs in other LEAs on educational service plans. For general education students, when a JDC notifies an LEA that a general education student has been detained, the student remains enrolled in the LEA regardless of the location of the JDC. The LEA enters the Juvenile Detention Center student classification for the student in the Student Information System and uploads it to the Education Information System, or EIS. The juvenile justice point of contact makes arrangements for the student's educational services with the JDC and the other LEA if the JDC is located in another LEA. If the student is placed in a JDC in another LEA, the juvenile justice point of contact works with the receiving LEA to ensure that all educational records are received in a timely manner and that the student is coded properly in SIS. Special education students. When a JDC notifies an LEA that a special education student has been detained, the student remains enrolled in the LEA only if the JDC is located within the LEA. The student is withdrawn from the home LEA and enrolled in the receiving LEA if the JDC is located in another LEA. This process assures that the receiving LEA, which is responsible for compliance with IDEA, has access to the IEP in 10 Pulse. The LEA that enrolls the student during the incarceration enters the Juvenile Detention Center student classification for the facility in SIS and uploads it to EIS. Attendance, membership, course schedules, and assessments. Students coded with the Juvenile Detention Center student classifications are considered present and are not coded as absent, are included in average daily membership or ADM and average daily attendance ADA, and they retain the course schedules codes that existed prior to their placement in the Juvenile Detention Center. For information related to statewide assessments for students coded with Juvenile Detention Center student classifications, please see the accountability protocol. Expulsion. For students who have been expelled prior to entering a JDC, the home LEA shall end the expulsion and list the disciplinary action end date as the date the student is placed in the JDC. When the student is released from the JDC, the LEA should reactivate the expulsion if there is time remaining in the student's expulsion. List the disciplinary action begin date as the first school day after the student is withdrawn from the JDC. Use the original disciplinary offense date to ensure that the incident is not coded as a new incident. Educational funds transfer. The JDC codes indicate where students are placed during incarceration in juvenile detention centers and facilitate the transfer of funds between home and receiving LEAs that provide educational services. Funding is based on instructional days. Funding applies to students enrolled in public schools in Tennessee. Funding is transferred annually at the close of the school year via TISA funding for the next school year. For funds transfer and other fiscal questions, please contact Marianne Dursky at marianne.dursky@tn.gov. JDC student classifications. As shown in the next slide, each of the state's 17 juvenile detention centers has a separate student classification. The first 3 digits are the letters JDC, and the final 2 digits are a number between 01 and 17. The date the student enters the JDC is the student classification begin date. The date the student leaves the JDC is the student classification end date. Do not auto-populate the JDC student classification end date as the last day of the school year or any other date. Here is a table with the codes for JDC 01 through 17. Foster care. When students in the custody of DCS have JDC placements, they are in foster care and are coded with the FOS 01 foster care and J direct certification student classifications in addition to the JDC 01 through JDC 17 Juvenile Detention Center student classifications. FOS 01 foster care status applies for the school year. so students retain the status throughout their enrollment and in subsequent enrollments during the school year once the identification is made. JDC Scenario 1. We have a general education student in Volunteer County who committed a crime and is detained at the Madison County JDC. We removed him from our roll. Is this okay? A. Yes, remove the student from your roll. The student will be absent for more than 10 consecutive days, so this is an acceptable practice. Or B. No, this LEA should keep the student enrolled in Volunteer County and enter the JDC 06 Madison County Juvenile Detention Center student classification code in SIS-EIS. B. No, the LEA should keep the student enrolled in Volunteer County and enter the JDC 01 Madison County Juvenile Detention Center student classification code in EIS-SIS. Explanation. Since the student is a general education student, he should remain enrolled in Volunteer County and be coded as JDC 01. Madison County must provide educational services for the student during his or her time at Madison County JDC. The JDC 06 student classification code will be used to transfer funds from Volunteer County to Madison County at the end of the school year for instructional days during the incarceration. Scenario 2. We have a student, Matthew, who is enrolled in Simpson County and receives special education services for emotional disturbance. He is now detained at Rutherford County JDC for a crime he committed. Do I keep him on our roll? A. Yes, code Matthew as JDC 09 and keep him on your roll. Or B. No, withdraw Matthew. Rutherford County should enroll Matthew and enter the JDC 09 Rutherford County Juvenile Detention Center student classification in SIS or EIS. B. No, withdraw Matthew. Rutherford County should enroll Matthew and enter the JDC 09 Rutherford County Juvenile Detention Center student classification in SIS or EIS. Explanation. Because Matthew is receiving special education services, he must be withdrawn from the sending LEA and be enrolled in the LEA in which the JDC is located. Scenario 3. We recently had a student, Adam, from our LEA that was arrested. He is a general education student. He committed a crime and was placed in DCS custody. I think DCS is looking for a bed for him in a residential facility, but for the time being, he is in the Bedford County JDC. I removed him from our roll as he is now in DCS custody and wanted to make sure that was the right thing to do. Was it? A, yes, or B, no? B, no. Adam should remain enrolled in the LEA and be coded as JDC 01. Explanation. Adam is a general education student. He should remain enrolled in his home LEA and be coded as JDC 01 to reflect his placement at Bedford County JDC. Even though Adam was placed in the custody of DCS, the JDC is not a DCS educational program, so he has not been withdrawn to a DCS educational placement. However, Adam will be withdrawn using withdrawal code 02 when he goes to the DCS residential facility and educational placement. Student Classifications Research Query. To check your data in EIS, log in as a district or school user. Select Data Reports, Research Queries. Select the Student Classifications Research Query. Select Student Classifications and the code for the facility of interest. For example, select JDC 01 Bedford County JDC for the Bedford County Juvenile Detention Center. Year pre-populates as 2023 for the 23-24 school year. Student Classifications Research Query Results, JDC, Bedford County JDC 01. To run the query, select View Report. To download in CSV or Excel format, use the file icon to the right of Find Next. The research query results include a record for each student flagged with the JDC 01 Bedford County JDC student classification. School and student identifiers are on the left. The JDC 01 student classification is on the right. Quarterly JDC data review. FPO provides JDC placement and instructional day data to sending and receiving LEAs to review quarterly. LEAs review the data, identify discrepancies, submit revisions to SIS, then EIS, and contact the NEP team for assistance if needed. Now we'll talk about court-ordered day treatment programs. Under Tennessee Code Annotated 493308, LEAs must allocate funding to qualifying day treatment programs in the amount equal to the per pupil state and local funding provided that the facility operates as an approved Category 1 special purpose school. The facility provides a minimum of 32 hours per week of educational instructional services. The student was court ordered into the treatment program. The student is enrolled in the LEA and was enrolled in the LEA in the previous academic year, and the student is not in the custody of DCS. 3 facilities provide qualified court-ordered day treatment programs. They are Carroll County Juvenile Court, Carroll Academy, Montgomery County Juvenile Court, Teen Learning Center, Genesis, and Rutherford County Juvenile Court, Teen Learning Center, Genesis. QDT 00 student classification. Students attending court-ordered day treatment in one of the 3 facilities under these conditions should remain enrolled in the home LEA to be coded with the QDT 00 student classification. Scenario. We have a student, Selena, who has been court-ordered to Genesis Academy to complete a 90-day program. She is currently a 9th grade student in our LEA. How should we proceed? A. Selena should remain in the role and be coded with the QDT 00 student classification. B. Selena should withdraw from the LEA as she is now attending a private school. Or C. Selena should remain on the roll and be coded with the KN student classification as she is attending a treatment program. A. Selena should remain on the roll and be coded with the QDT 00 student classification. Explanation. Selena has been court-ordered into an approved program and must remain on the roll for the LEA. The LEA should use the code QDT 00 student classification to code her in its student management system. Next, we'll discuss some suggestions to improve data quality. First, regularly collaborate with attendance, EIS, federal programs, and other colleagues to ensure that your data are coded properly. Frequently check data in SIS and EIS and upload revisions as needed. And for additional information, please refer to the FPO data manual. Lastly, I would like to share some contact information with you. For questions about juvenile justice programs, please contact me, Erin Christian, Net Manager at erin.christian@tn.gov. For juvenile detention center data and coding questions, please contact Trish Kelly, FPO Data Manager at trish.kelly@tn.gov. For EIS errors and restaging problems, please contact the District Technology Support Team at dt.support@tn.gov. This concludes our webinar today. Thank you for attending. If you feel there was fraud, waste, or abuse, please contact the number or address on your screen.